Hello everyone. So in this video, I am gonna talk about two espresso grinders. Right in front of you on the left side is the Ceado E5P espresso grinder, and on the right side is the, I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing it, Nuova Simonelli, and this is their model. I think it's called Grinta espresso grinder. So right off the bat, I have to tell you, both of those grinders are great at grinding specific size espressos. So you're not gonna go wrong with either of those, but in terms of personal preference and some particular features, sorry, my cat Plato is wants to talk also. So in terms of the features, I'm gonna just quickly show you guys the advantage of each, and then you can make a decision for yourself on which grinder to get if you just started getting serious about making espressos like me do. So again, I started maybe 3 weeks ago. Got my very first espresso machine, which is a Gaggia Classic Pro, and with the machine I have to find a grinder, and this is actually the grinder I bought with the machine, the Simonelli Grinta, and it has worked pretty good. I was able to dial in my shots fairly quickly. So this is the coffee I'm using. It's from Costco, and actually it tastes much better, in my opinion, than the Starbucks Dark Reserve that they also sell at Costco. Now, I know if you're a coffee snob that those are not the best coffees to make espressos, but I really like the taste of the Blue Mountain blend from Costco. Like, it tastes great. It doesn't have a weird taste. So I'm just using that and practicing my espresso making skills. So I used the Grinta to dial in the shots, and since then I have been making a pretty consistent shots. So the very obvious advantage with the Nuova Simonelli is its price point. This one retails new for $330, something around that. And it's a fantastic grinder to get really fine grind that you need for espresso. And you might be able to find another grinder in the price range of maybe $200 to $300 that's gonna make a excellent espresso grind as well. But in terms of build quality, I think this should be a entry-level, well-built machine that you can have for your espresso. It features a very nice adjustable rotating top collar. So both of those grinders, the top collar rotates around. Okay, so this one have some markings on the indentation over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 numbers, and basically you use those numbers to make a educated guess and to dial in the size of the espresso that you need. Features a fairly large hopper, and unfortunately the hopper is not removable. It's not that easy to remove. So to remove it, there are 3 screws inside that you have to unscrew to remove it. And the reason being, the hopper is connected to the adjustable ring over here, and right inside the ring is the actual grinding mechanism. It's a top grinding mechanism, the blade on the top. So the whole piece on the top is actually quite heavy. It's all connected as one piece. And there's a grinding mechanism on the bottom sitting right over there. When you turn on the power, it's the bottom blade that grinds, and the top one stays stationary. And of course, your bean comes out right over here. Both grinders are push type, so they're fully manual. Depends on how much beans you need. So you always, for those manual ones, you're always nice to have a scale so you know the exact weight that you need. And each one works differently. So in terms of the ease of getting the ease of dispensing, the Ceado is going to do a much better job because the thing is designed like a tank. It's built like a tank. Super easy to push the pin right over there with your portafilter. If you have a kind of professional kind of looking portafilter, it's gonna work with this grinder. If you have something weird, those non-traditional one that doesn't have a traditional double screw, you might gonna have trouble dispensing espressos using this grinder. For this one, it's very easy. It's that little big button right over there. You just push with the lip of the portafilter and the bean is gonna come out. I don't think I have any beans in here. Yeah, I don't have any beans, but you can hear the noise. So this one definitely is gonna have a more noise compared to the Ceado or the Ceado because the mechanism is right, it's attached right on the plastic piece. So there's really not much insulation over here. So when it grinds, it makes a fairly loud noise. The Ceado, on the other hand, very, very quiet. Reason being, this entire block you see, it's a single piece cast aluminum block. Very, very nicely made. Super, super heavy. It's probably twice the weight of the Grinta. And when you try to grind, I actually have coffee inside. You can hear how quiet the motor is compared to this one, which actually makes a funny noise. So it's definitely louder. Try to adjust the grind size a little bit for you guys to see. So that's actual motor sound. When there's nothing inside, they all sound very similar. When there's coffee bean in here, I guarantee you that the Ceado sounds almost twice as quiet as the Grinta. So that's one advantage of having a single piece aluminum design. Everything's integrated inside, so the sound really doesn't come out. It's probably just as loud, and because it's more powerful, it grinds much faster than the Grinta over here. It probably grinds twice as fast. So in terms of dispensing 17 grams of espresso powder or espresso grind that I need, this one probably takes maybe 10 seconds, and this one is gonna take at least 15 to 20 seconds, and I have to wait it constantly because it just comes out slow and chunky, so I wasn't able to get much of a nice uniform grind like you can get from Ceado. I'm actually gonna recycle this. This is my coffee ground recycle can, so I'm just gonna dump it here. And I'm really not gonna do a demonstration over here. They work equally nice. This one being not a direct feed, when you actually have the coffee ground coming out, it clumps inside. It leaves a huge clump right in here. So right now it's empty. If I just look how much junk comes out from inside there. I'm just shaking around like. With empty, you shake around, a whole bunch of junk comes out. That's one big advantage with the Grinta. The coffee retention is really bad. Like it retains a lot of coffee right in here in the neck. Maybe there's a way to improve it, maybe not. But so you really want to just use one kind of bean in the hopper, so it always comes out the bean that you actually want. If you switch beans a lot, this is not gonna help because, and you're gonna waste a lot more beans when you try to grind a type of coffee that you like, and another person try to grind another type of coffee that they like. And this being non-removable, so you better just have one kind over here, okay? With the Ceado, it have almost no coffee retention. All the beans comes in and comes out at once. So nothing's left inside. It's a very clean grind. Maybe there's little pieces left inside, but it's not gonna affect the overall taste of the coffee as much as this one if you change the beans. Another huge advantage with the Ceado is, sorry for the pronunciation, is the hopper is completely removable. And if you actually have beans inside, you can close it completely and then remove it so the bean doesn't come out. You can use a 58mm size temper and just put it right there, and you can still grind. So that way you can make a single serve right over here without even using a hopper. So to that point, the hopper is really optional, and this is really much better suited for if you have multiple different kinds of coffee, espresso beans that you already dialed in, you know the numbers. Every time you make a single serving, just use the temper to put it over there, block it, and then just do your single serving right over here. So that's one huge advantage with the Ceado, whatever you call it. Again, if you have a different bean, or this is maybe a decaf, you just hold the decaf over here anytime you need to use it. At night, you want some decaf, just pull it out and the bean drops down and you can make a decaf. Once you drop enough down, close it, and then it stops it from feeding in, okay? So simple as that. In terms of maintenance, both machines are very easy to maintain. This one, basically, you take the hopper off, couple of screws, and then you can get the top part off. The top part, basically, if you just remove this, you can just rotate it all the way, and the top part actually just, I'll show you really quick. It just comes off right away. So as you can see, this is the grinding mechanism. This is the burr. So I think 50mm burr, and that one have a 62mm burr, I think. So it's quite a large burr. That's why it grinds much faster. Let's see. So take a closer look. So this is what it looks inside. Still a fairly well built mechanism. You have a little ring over here to prevent the coffee beans from damaging the threads over here, and your burr is mounted directly on this mechanism right here. Okay, on the inside you have another cup that's holding the rotating rotor over here with another burr. Be really careful when you do those kind of things, or you're servicing. Make sure the power is turned off. Right now the power is still connected, so I'm being extra caution when doing this. Okay, so if I accidentally press it, it's gonna rotate and splash all the beans out. To maintain those, the grinder is super easy. Just take the bottom burr out, clean it, soap water, and then blow dry it. Make sure it's completely dry because it's made of steel, and just put it back on here, and maybe vacuum all the old grounds out. And then you have a nice, clean, ready to go grinder. The top part, even easier. Just get this out, clean it, and then put it back on there. There's really nothing more to it. Okay, super easy to service. And as you can see, when you finish, just press this. It's a lock. I have my setting somewhere around 1.12, something like that. So that's my grind size. I know my grind size because I dialed in with this machine. That's why every time you get your new beans, it's really easy to just find the perfect setting and stick with it for each particular beans. Okay, so there's the Grinta. It have a little holder that doesn't do much, but regardless, it's nice to have it over here. And as you can see, I have a little cup over here because this little grinder makes a big mess when the grind comes out. Okay, so always have a little tray over here to catch the grind when it tries to splash. Another comparison between the two grinders is this one actually, besides it retains a lot of coffee in this neck over here, it also makes more chunky grinds. So the grinds comes out not as uniform as what the Ceado is doing. The Ceado gives you a nice little, like a little heel looking, perfect grind, regardless of the size. It doesn't clump, but if you're using this grinder, it actually clumps quite a lot. So when the ground is clumping, I always have to knock the portafilter down on the rubber surface to just resurface or make it flat, and then get some more beans over here. That's why it always takes longer with a Grinta. With the Ceado, super easy. Like honestly, if budget is not an issue, just get the Ceado. You'll be much happier if you're making a lot of espressos. This one, it's good to have entry-level espresso maker. It works and it makes perfectly fine grinds for the espresso. It's just in terms of ease of operation, it's actually slower to use than the Ceado. And also it's much more noisy. And of course, the price of the Ceado is twice as expensive as the Grinta. So my espresso machine is not even this expensive, but I understand the importance of a really nice espresso grind for a particular bean. So, and I already did a video doing the disassembly and cleaning process for it. Again, super easy to maintain, and all the parts are replaceable. You can get the repaired parts for anything that breaks. Just contact the authorized retailer and they should be able to get the parts for you. And for home use, really, it's not gonna break down on you. Honestly, it's never gonna break down. Maybe the only thing you need to replace after almost 10 years is probably just the Burr. That's pretty much it. You can also get different hoppers. You can get another hopper. If you have multiple beans, you can get another hopper, just store it somewhere airtight and switch it around really quickly. But personally, to make espresso, I am just gonna practice the single shot like this with a temper on the top. And I think it's a great idea. And again, very space saving also. In terms of the size, they actually have, let's see, almost the same height, even though this machine is much more burlier than the Grinta. So this one, mostly plastic, and this one, mostly metal. It doesn't make a mess. As you can see, a little tray is all you need, and it really puts perfect grinds over here in the center. Okay, maybe tomorrow morning I'll do another video and put it on the at the end of this video so you guys can see it makes a beautiful grind for the espresso. Again, this machine, the E5P, is really mostly suited for people who only mix espressos. If you do other kind of like the pouring, the French press, and other kind of fancy coffee making methods, it's not as good because you have to manually hold down the little button over there to be able to grind anything. So it's really just designed for portafilters. So basically you put it over here and the bean comes out. That's the single purpose of the E5P. If you have other use for the grinder, consider the E6P or the E6P version 2, which have electronics built in, so you can dial your shots based on the time, or like dispense your shots based on the time. That way you have, I guess it's even more convenient than this one. If you have multiple different beans, you have different grinds, and you make different kinds of coffees. And in the very end, the conclusion I want to make comparing those two grinders is both grinder makes perfectly fine espresso grinds to make perfect espresso for your need. If price is a concern, consider the Nuova Simonelli Grinta espresso grinder. It have a 50mm burr, so it's gonna dispense espresso grinds fairly quick for you. Not the quickest, but fairly quick. Consistent grind, very consistent grind. It clumps a little bit, and it have a lot more coffee retention around the nose, but that's the only two downsides I can find for this grinder. In terms of the performance, yes, it does the job perfectly fine. The Ceado is more like the granddaddy of a espresso grinder, like a pure espresso grinder. It's not automatic, it's manual, push and pull, but it just really excels at the speed and the consistency of the grind that you can get really out of this grinder. Very modular, everything's removable, everything's replaceable, everything's serviceable. So, and it's a beautiful single piece aluminum block design, like very, very beautiful, very, very well made. It's gonna last you for years and years without breaking down. Like that is guaranteed. So both are Italian made, beautiful machines. And depending on the budget, this one is twice as expensive as this one retail. I think it's right now the price for the E5P is about $660 at most of the popular coffee retailers, coffee machine retailers. This one $330. So depending on your needs, twice the price gets you more convenience, more consistent grind, quieter motor, and a beautiful design. But if the price is your concern and you're just starting out, definitely consider the Nuova Simonelli, the Grinta. It's also gonna last you a very long time, guaranteed. It's entry level, so later on, if you decide you don't need this, you want to upgrade, you can always get another model. There are many machines between those two models as well, and then there are some other machines actually that's cheaper than the Simonelli, and that's probably gonna perform just as good. Again, I haven't used those machines, so I can't really comment, but I know there are those machines out there. I'll actually post a few links down below for you guys to consider if you're just starting out and you don't know where to start on a good espresso grinder. Any grinder that's below the 200 price point, I would say it's not gonna get you the best possibility out of a espresso bean. Those is gonna get you. So with those, the grind size is not gonna be a concern compared to the grinders that's below $200 price point. However, you can also consider buying those really heavy-duty machines used. Those used machines usually are still in excellent condition, and maybe the only thing they need replacing is the burr if it's being used very heavily. But most of the time, they actually just work like a brand new machine. So, and with things used, you can probably get those 50% off MSRP, maybe 40% off for a really good condition one. So there is my opinion on those two grinders. And again, if you guys have any questions about any of those grinders, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer the questions for you guys. And in the end, I'm gonna be keeping this one and selling this one. So granted, this one is really nice to have. So I might even keep this one just for the backup coffee or the decaf that we have. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, okay? Take care.